What business should I start this summer? And what is the easiest food to make and sell? So in this video from Marketing Food Online, we're going to give you 5 great summer food business ideas that you can start for less than $3,000. And some of them are actually around $1,200 or $1,300 just to get up and running. And they're very profitable, especially during summertime. So if you're looking to create a side business this summer, listen up to these 5 great food business ideas. We're going to dive into them right now. All right, guys, so welcome back to Marketing Food Online. So it's Damian Roberti, founder and CEO of Marketing Food Online. I wanted to put together a summer video specifically for food businesses that you could potentially get up and running. Now, I'm going to go from number 5 all the way down to number 1. And I want to make sure that you actually have an understanding of how well these businesses work. And make sure that you also understand that if you have a budget for a small food business, summertime is a great time to start one. Mainly because there's a lot of outdoor events. It's also a great way to reach local customers and build a local following. And if you can also test out different food business ideas without investing tens of thousands of dollars into an idea that could potentially not work. So let's dive right into this list. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to break down what the business is, the food item is, and then specifically what you might need for it as far as your budget, and even break it down by dollar amount. And of course, these are going to be some rough estimates. Some of these pieces of equipment that we'll go over and ingredients and such might actually be a little bit cheaper or possibly a little bit more, depending on what the quality of the equipment that you get. But all in all, these are great businesses that are going to run a little bit less than $3,000 or even way less than $3,000. So let's go into it. So let's actually go number 1 down to number 6. Actually, I've got the list here in front of me. So this is our ice cream stand. So number 1 is ice cream. It's a perennial summer favorite. And you can start with a small cart of ice cream or actually a stand that's selling prepackaged ice cream, which is a better way to do it than actually scooping it. You can buy in bulk at big box stores, prepackaged and individual servings of ice creams. It could be ice cream sandwiches, ice cream cones, whatever it may be. Prepackaged ice cream is a great way to do this because it also leaves you the ability to bring the inventory. If you bring it back home or bring it back to your commercial kitchen, you don't have to worry about the melting of it so much in comparison to like a large container of ice cream you're scooping. These are much easier to keep cooler and, of course, keep in solid state during transit. Now, you can invest in a soft serve machine as well if your budget allows. That allows you to actually pour out ice cream or dispense ice cream as opposed to simply giving a prepackaged ice cream pack. Now, what are some of the things, Damien, I'm going to need? Well, number 1, permits. So you'll need a food vendor's permit from your local health department and possibly a permit for the specific location in your park or public place. Keep in mind that you'll also need additional information on insurance and ingredients and equipment. We're going to get into that as well. But one thing to keep in mind, too, when you have a mobile food business, a lot of cities and counties require you to get a parking pass or parking permit, believe it or not. That doesn't necessarily apply just to food trucks. It actually does apply to mobile food vendors, too. So double check the city or county that you're in specifically to find out. Next up, you're going to need insurance. So general liability insurance is a must to protect against any accidents or situations that would arise. Ingredients, as I mentioned in the introduction of this, prepackaged ice cream is great, or ingredients for soft serve, which would be like milk, sugar, flavorings, and such creams, and equipment. So if you go the route of the ice cream cart or stand, you can get a freezer or soft serve machine, serving utensils and napkins, and you're pretty much good to go. Now, again, if you want to keep it on the lower end for the investment purposes, don't dive into the soft serve just yet. You can grow to that or build up to that if that's something you want to do. But buying the prepackaged route is always the smaller investment from this perspective. Now, the ice cream stand, let's go over the permits. So the permits themselves, as we mentioned, they're going to run you about $100 to $500, depending on your area. Normally, they're on the lower end when it comes to weekend permits or day permits. Insurance. Now, this is going to be between about $300 to $600 a year. This is going to be something that you should get online. Actually, one of the companies that I recommend that we actually use is great is Next Insurance. They give you the opportunity to actually make the monthly payment on it. The insurance is about $300 to $600 a year, and that's for a basic coverage. Now, to get started, your ingredients between $100 to $200 per week. Now, that could go up, obviously, if you're much busier. So if you're in an area that's much busier than that, your ingredients or frozen ice cream packs or individual units could be about $300 or $400, even $500, okay? Now, equipment. So if you want to get a basic cart or stand, you can get these used, by the way, in a lot of these used restaurant stores or even mobile food warehouses where they actually take in used equipment. Also, food truck, believe it or not, food truck companies that have used equipment, they sometimes actually have mobile carts. So in between about $200 to $500 to get a basic ice cream cart. Now, if you get a soft serve machine, that could be up to $800 or even more, and that's going to push you over the budget. But You can also get those used as well. But between $800 to about $1,000 for a soft serve used unit is within reason. So your total for this startup is between $700 to $2,600. Now with the higher end, including the soft serve machine, that's going to push you around that $3,000 mark. Okay. So ice cream is number one. Let's go up to the next one. A lemonade stand. Now this is a classic summer business, and believe it or not, hot lemonade, when you go to farmers markets, festivals, or local events, it's during the heat season and it's very hot outside. People love lemonade, especially, of course, if you can make it quick, get it dispensed quick. You've got a nice cup with great ice in it, gets nice and cold. A simple lemonade stand is a classic summer business. A lemonade stand can actually be very profitable, especially if you're in a high traffic area. Now, also permits. Let's get into that. So this one also as well would be a food vendor's permit is required. And you may need also a permit for the location, as we mentioned above, for the ice cream as well. All in all, you can do this one in some cases as a cottage food business, but double check with your local city or county about the ordinances and regulations. Next up is general liability insurance as well. That's going to be very similar across the board for all of these different businesses, but a general liability insurance is going to run you about $300 again to $600 per year. Ingredients. Now, this is one of the lowest investment as far as ingredients possible. Even if you're using fresh lemons, the most expensive part of this actually is the lemons, believe it or not, because then you have sugar, water, and cups. Okay, it's going to be lemons, sugar, water, and cups, and of course equipment. Now, you need a stand or a cart and a juicer, a cooler, a refrigerator, and a cash box. That's it. Okay, so let's break down these costs, Damien. So you said they're about $3,000. This one is actually on the lower end. Permits for this type of a business is between $100 to $500. Next up, you have insurance, as I mentioned before, about $300 to $600. Ingredients per week, of course, depending on the traffic, could be around $30 to $50. Because keep in mind, water, plastic cups don't cost much of anything. Sugar is extremely inexpensive. Lemons are literally the most expensive ingredient, and believe it or not, they're not that expensive. Buy them in bulk. You can go to Costco or these big box stores, get a bulk order of lemons. You'll get them very cheap. Next up is equipment. So around $100 to $200 for a basic cart and stand, plus the juicer and a cooler. So all in all, you're going to be in for a lemonade stand at around between $530 to $1,300. Now, of course, if you go to some higher equipment, that could push you around $2,000, but you're still well below the budget of $3,000. Next up, this is a great one, and we just did a great handful of videos that we just did about hot dog carts. Hot dog cart business. Hot dogs are a quick and easy food that's popular in outdoor events and busy areas no matter where you are. If it's a local community center where you've got soccer for the kids or football games, hot dogs are a no-brainer. They cost next to nothing when you get them in bulk and very easy to serve. You can just basically get the type of equipment that you get with a grill and a cooler, get a cash box and some utensils, and you're ready to rock and roll. So next up, you have the permits. So let's get into the permits. So this one as well, need a food vendor's permit. That you get from your health department with the city or county you're located in. Also, it could cost you some money to actually open up. Keep in mind that when you go to these types of places like city or county local sports areas, you may have to rent that location too. So that may be about $50 to $100 a day or maybe even less. So keep that in mind as well. Next up is insurance. Like I mentioned before, just again, a general liability insurance to cover all of these businesses is what you need to get up and running. Ingredients, hot dogs, buns, condiments, and napkins. That's it. You're ready to rock. Believe it or not, actually, there's a lot of events that I've been to locally in the city I live here that are kids. My son used to play baseball, and they actually serve the hot dogs on napkins. They even have plates, which makes it even cheaper. So hot dogs themselves would be the most expensive part that you're going to invest in. Condiment packets, you can get the individual packets in bulk. Online, even at restaurant supply stores, you get a big box of ketchup or mustard, whatever. And equipment. So you need a hot dog cart with a grill, and then you need a cooler, utensils, and a cash box for transactions. You're good to go. Permits. So this one would be probably on the lower end, but permits that we estimated for this is about $100 to $500. Next up is insurance, about $300 to $600 per year. And ingredients, again, per week, about $50 to $100. Hot dogs being the dog itself actually being the most expensive part. Equipment. So about $300 to $800 for a hot dog cart. And with a grill and a cooler added onto that, that could put you at about $1,000. So this one would actually be between about $750 on the low end if you're getting some used equipment, potentially up to $2,000. Okay? Way less than our average of $3,000 for these 5 great businesses. Next up, farmer's market vendor. Now this is a no-brainer, especially when you're under the cottage food laws and you're starting a business from home. If you have a knack for baking or making preserves, consider selling goods at local farmers markets. Permits include food vendor's permit, possibly a permit from the market organizers themselves. Keep in mind that farmers markets are run independently, so there may be an expense that's involved with that if you want to get into a farmer's market. Insurance, they normally just require like a general liability insurance. Ingredients, of course, this will vary depending on what you're selling. But in general, if you're doing baked goods, I mean, there's a plethora, an infinite supply of ideas for baked goods. You can do cupcakes, you do brownies, you can do muffins, you can do cookies. It goes on and on and on. But these ingredients are cheap in bulk. You're talking flour, sugar, eggs, milk, baking soda, and a couple other ingredients. That's very inexpensive. So keep that in mind. Next up, what would you need for equipment, Damien? Well, you need a table, obviously, to present your products, packaging for your goods, and a cash box. And of course, any other equipment that you might need to get people's attention at the farmer's market, if it's a sign, maybe even a large tent. So farmer's market vendors, how much is this going to run, Damien? So break it down, $100 to $500 for the permits. Your insurance is going to be about $300 to $600 again per year. Now keep in mind, like I mentioned, actually, believe it or not, I'll tell you the truth, our insurance policy for our bakery is actually a little less than $600 a year. So if you're getting insurance, okay, and I'm not an insurance agent, obviously, but I can tell you I've been in this business long enough. If you're getting an insurance policy, it should not exceed $600. If it's like $1,000 or $800 or $1,200, they're trying to add some additional policy things on there that you really don't necessarily need. So be around that $600 at the high side, okay? Now, again, this ingredients would vary greatly depending on what you're selling, but between each week, about $50 to $100 in ingredients. And then lastly, equipment. So about $100 to $200 for your table, your packaging, and maybe some labels. You can get up and running with Farmers Market Vendor. For this one is a budget of $500 to $1,300. Now, next one up. This one's a little more interesting, and it's kind of an idea that a lot of people don't know about, but pop-up bakeries. So if you love baking, of course, pop-up bakery can actually be a great way to share your treats and baked goods with the world. These types of things are ideas that permits where we have a food vendor's permit. You might possibly also need one for your location. And again, as we mentioned about the insurance, basic general liability insurance. Ingredients would be dependent upon the list of baking goods that you're going to have. Equipment would be baking equipment, which you have at home. Display case or a table. Packaging for your goods. Cash box and some labels. That's it. So pop-up bakery, let's go through the actual rundown of how much this will cost. So your permits are about $100 to $500. Insurance, again, up to about $600 a year. Ingredients will be dependent upon what baked goods you have, but this might be something you might want to do some higher end stuff. So around $200 a week. The equipment that you would need would run you about $200 to $500 for the display case, a table, and some baking equipment. So this one on the high end would go for about $1,800 to $2,000. Okay. All right. So that is going to cover those 5 summer food business ideas. So these guys are less than $3,000. They're going to give you a great rundown for some simple, easy to make and easy to do summer businesses. Now, some of these can kind of cross over into fall and winter, but mainly during the summertime, there's a lot going on outdoors. Obviously, winter is kind of restrictive, of course. In fall, you still have a good amount of events in fall. But let me know if you're interested in any of these and if you've actually tried them or if you're actually doing them right now in the description down below. And be sure to also subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can see all of the videos that we upload each week. We also have a lot of other food entrepreneur channels here. Check those links down in the description. And I'll see you guys in our next video.